Okay, let's cover the rate of change and creating functions. So this would be the last video. Nope. There's one more after this. Yeah, there's one more after this. Tools. We can now find the rate of change given two input-output pairs. So 0.1 and 0.2. And we can write an equation for a linear function once we have a rate of change, the m, our slope, and an initial value, our b. So remember, our f of x is equal to b, our initial value, plus our rate of change times the input. If we have two input-output pairs, so point x and y, so those are our input-output, we'd have 0.1 and 0.2. And they do not include the initial value of the function. So they're not telling us what the initial value is. We will have to solve for it. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. Example 8. Working as an insurance salesperson, David earns a base salary plus a commission on each new policy. So, and a commission on each new policy. So David's weekly income, they're using the function I for income. So I is equaling income with a function of what? Depends on the number of new policies. So N is the number of new policies. That is not a hashtag. So his income based on the number of new policies is equal to what? Well, our original function is f of x is equal to b plus mx. All right, that's what we're going to use to create our new function, our new equation. Last week, he sold 3 new policies and earned $760 for the week. That's a point. That's a point they're giving us there. So, and we know that N is going to be our representation of our input. So that's representative of our X. And remember, X always goes in our first place in our point. So 3 policies, and he ends up with earning $760. Okay, the 3 policies is what helps figure out how much he makes. So he sold 3 policies, he ends up making $760 in that week. The week before, he sold 5 policies. Well, that's our input. And he ends up making $920 for that week. Let's find his rate of change. Let's find out what his M is, his slope is. We're going to do that first. So I'm going to come here and say M is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. You're going to want to have this written down so you have access to it easily for your exam. So x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Doesn't matter which one you choose for 0.1 and 0.2. Okay. You're going to get the same answer. So our rate of change is equal to 920 minus 760 divided by 5 minus 3. So I'm going to whip over my calculator here. And I'm going to say 920. Let's do this. 920 minus 760 is equal to 160. Divided by 5 minus 3 is 2. So our rate of change is 80. What does that mean? Well, that means we don't know what the initial value is, but we know since the 80 does not have a negative symbol out front, and it wouldn't because he's not losing money for each policy he sells, he's gaining money. So you're going to add, he's going to get an $80 for each new policy he sells. Okay, that's what that $80 means. 80 means he's going to get $80 for each new policy he sells. Well, now we need to find out what is his initial value? What's his base salary? You know, we know his commission is $80 for each new policy, but what's his base salary? What's his initial starting point for that each paycheck? He's going to make a bare minimum of B, even if he doesn't sell any new policies. So we need to find out what that B is. In order to find out what that B is, we need to choose one of these points. And it doesn't matter which one we choose. I'm going to go with the first one just because it's there. And I'm going to say, well, how would I do this? Well, I know that if he sells 3 policies, he's going to end up with $760. And I know that I of N is his income based on his new policies. Well, his income would be $760 if he sold 3 new policies, because that's what happened in this point here. He sold 3 policies that week. He got $760. Okay. So if we just plug that in, his income was $760. And then we plug in the 3 because that's how many policies he sold. And we can solve for B to find out how much his starting income is. So I just need to solve this. 760 is equal to B plus, well, 80 times 3 is 240. I have to solve for B, so I'm going to subtract 240 from both sides. And I get B is equal to 520. So that's his base salary. I can finish the function now. His income, based on the number of new policies he sells, is equal to his base salary of $520 plus $80 for every new policy he sells. Awesome. You can check this by plugging in the other point. I could plug in $920 and see if we get the right, if they come up equal. Just in case you want to know how to check yourself. Because I know he got $920 when he sold 5 policies. When you check this, always use the other point. Okay. So 920 is equal to 520 plus 80 times 5 is 400. 920 is equal to 920. So the function works. So this is our function for David's income. His income based on the number of new policies equal $520 base salary plus $80 for every new policy he sells. Your turn. The balance in your college payment account, and they're telling you to use the function C, is a function of the number of quarters, Q, you attend. Some colleges have quarters instead of semesters. So they would have it 4 times a year. Interpret the function C, the college payment account, C of Q is equal to 20,000 minus 4,000 Q in words. So C of Q is equal to 20,000 minus 4,000 Q. This is just like what we did with the police officer one in regards to, I want you to interpret, and there's going to be on every stinking function pretty much that you create in your exam, I'm going to ask you to interpret the function. So you're going to need to be able to put it into words what this means. Pause the video and attempt this on your own first before you come back and see what I do. Okay. So I'm literally going to use the words that they're using here. The college payment account is representative C. So the college payment account is actually the number of quarters you attend. The college payment account is 20,000, or it starts at 20,000, has 20,000 in it, or had $20,000 and is decreasing. I know it's decreasing because it's negative, and is decreasing, use the words decreasing here, decreasing by how much? 4,000. Be careful and make sure you have units. It's decreasing by $4,000. Now we need the time element. How often is it decreasing by 4,000? By $4,000 every quarter. The college payment account had $20,000 and is decreasing by $4,000 every quarter. Something similar to that. Okay. I didn't go over this in class, and some of it is, it's all verbiage. They put a lot of words in here that it's just kind of exhausting. But it's really good, and there's some takeaways I want you to get from this. Identify the changing quantities. So I want you to tell me what is your, like the V of T, the value of the TV. So V is the value, T was the time in years, so that we know what we're talking about. Carefully read the problem to identify the important information. In regards to this is to make sure that your years and the amount line up. Like when we talked about the population in years, you need to know, even though they weren't exactly set together, that the 2002 the first year went with the first number, and the second year went with the second number. You need to be able to analyze that so that you can have the correct points. Okay. Identify a solution pathway. So this is just creating your formula. This is creating your function. That's all that is. Solve or evaluate using the formula you found for the desired quantity. So that's using it to plug in an input to get the output you want. It could also be checking to see if your function is right. If you had to solve for B and you chose to use 0.1, then you can check it by plugging in 0.2, like I did with the $920 one for the five new policies, and just to check to see if the function works. Reflect on whether the answer is reasonable. This, to me, the biggest part of it is making sure that your rate of change or your sign is correct. So you should have an initial starting point, and then if it's increasing, your rate of change should be positive. If it's decreasing, your rate of change should be negative. Please check that, okay? And then clearly convey your result. This is sentences, period. I need to know that you understand what the heck that function means. So correct words whenever you do the best with your correct words. The most important part of this whole stinking thing is you understand of whether it's increasing or if it's decreasing. And you can know that based on your rate of change. All right, I'm going to stop the video and come back to another one.